Admiral Zax Tour stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Light. He watched the stars through the large viewing window. His four eyes blinked in sequence as he took in the view of the retreating enemy ships. After 300 years of war, the Voidborn were finally running away. "Admiral, we have confirmed reports. The enemy is pulling back from all fronts in the Perseus Arm," said Commander Pelnix, his second-in-command. Zax Tour nodded. His gray skin crinkled around his mouth in what his species considered a smile. 3 centuries of fighting, Commander. 3 centuries of death and destruction. And now we stand at the edge of peace. Around him, the bridge crew of the Coalition flagship worked at their stations. Most were too young to remember how the war began. Some belonged to species that had joined the Coalition only in the last 50 years. All of them had known nothing but war their entire lives. "Shall we pursue them, Admiral?" asked the weapons officer. Zax Tour considered this for a moment. "No, let them run. Our goal was never to destroy them completely, only to end their aggression, begin preparations for the peace talks." In the tactical room behind the main bridge, holographic displays showed the movement of fleets across the galaxy. Green lights represented Coalition forces. Red lights showed the Voidborn. For the first time in generations, the red lights were clustered in just one small corner of the galaxy. "Sir," said a young communications officer, "we're receiving requests from 17 Coalition worlds for confirmation of victory. What should I tell them?" "Tell them..." Zax Tour paused, almost unable to believe the words himself. "Tell them the war is won." Cheers erupted across the bridge. Officers embraced each other. Some wept openly. Zax Tour allowed the celebration for a few moments before raising his hand for silence. "The work is not yet done. We must secure the peace. Send word to the diplomatic corps. I want the surrender terms prepared within 3 days." As the crew returned to their duties with renewed energy, Zax Tour walked to the private viewing area. He placed his hand against the transparent material that separated him from the vacuum of space. He had been born into this war. He had lost his mate and his first brood to a void-born attack on his home colony. He had spent his entire adult life fighting. And now, finally, it was ending. "Admiral." The urgent voice of the sensor officer broke through his thoughts. "We've detected an anomaly at the edge of the system." Zax Tour hurried back to the main bridge. "Show me." The main screen displayed a section of space near the system's outer boundary. A strange distortion was forming there. "Analysis?" Zax Tour demanded. "Unknown form of energy. It appears to be..." "Sir, I believe it's a primitive form of faster-than-light travel. Nothing like our jump gates or the void-born fold drives." The distortion grew larger, then flashed brightly. When the light faded, a small vessel floated in the space where the anomaly had been. "Scan that ship," ordered Zax Tour. The crew worked quickly, running every scan in their arsenal. "Sir, the vessel is small, only about 1/8 the size of our ship. No weapons that we can detect. Primitive propulsion system. Life support is active. And sir, there are life forms aboard." "Voidborn?" Zax Tour asked sharply. "No, sir. The biological readings don't match any known species in our database. They appear to be new." Zax Tour stared at the image of the small ship. "A new species? Now? After we've finally won the war?" He shook his head in disbelief. "Send a first contact team. Standard protocols. I want to know who they are and why they're here." On board the small vessel, Captain Frank Miller was helping engineer Diane Powell check the ship's systems after their first faster-than-light jump. "All systems nominal, Captain," reported Powell as she looked at the readouts. "The Shaw drive performed exactly as expected." Frank nodded, pleased. "Humanity's first step into the stars, and it went perfectly. Dr. Lee would be proud." "Captain," called Lisa Johnson from the communications station. "I'm picking up something. It's not radio, not any frequency we've used before." Frank moved to her station. "Can you clean it up?" Lisa adjusted some settings. I think someone's trying to talk to us." Science Officer Alan Reeves looked up from his sensor readings with wide eyes. Frank, we're not alone out here. I'm detecting a massive object moving toward us. It's a ship, and it's huge. The crew of 4 gathered at the viewing port. In the distance, growing larger by the second, was a massive vessel. Its design was like nothing they had ever seen. Smooth curves and angles that seemed to bend the light around it, glowing with soft blue energy. "My God," whispered Alan. "First jump, and we found them. Extraterrestrial intelligence." "Or they found us," said Frank. He straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. "Everyone to your stations. Lisa, keep working on that communication. Alan, get all the readings you can. Diane, make sure our systems are running perfectly. This is what we trained for." The strange ship came closer. It was at least 50 times the size of their small vessel. As it approached, they could see details of its structure, what looked like weapon mounts, though none were active, and large hangar bays. "Captain," said Lisa suddenly, "I think I've figured out their communication system. It's transmitting directly to our computer. Some kind of universal language algorithm." "Put it through," ordered Frank. The ship's speakers crackled. Then a mechanical voice spoke in clear English. "Unknown vessel, this is the Coalition flagship Eternal Light. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." Frank looked at his crew, then pressed the transmit button. "This is Captain Frank Miller of the Earthship Pathfinder. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration from the planet Earth. We come in peace." There was a pause before the voice replied. "Prepare to be boarded for standard first contact protocols. Do not be alarmed. We mean you no harm." Frank looked at his small crew. Each face showed a mixture of fear and excitement. "Looks like we're about to make history," he said with a smile that hid his own nervousness. "Humanity's first meeting with an alien species." On the bridge of the Eternal Light, Admiral Zach's tour gave orders for the first contact team to proceed with. "Caution, sir," said Commander Pelnix quietly. "What if these newcomers ally with the Voidborn? The timing is concerning." Zach's tour watched the small Earth ship on the view screen. "Then we must make sure they see us as friends first. The war was won. Today, Commander. I will not allow anything to change that." Neither the Admiral nor the humans knew that this chance meeting would soon change the course of galactic history forever. The docking tube connected with a soft hiss to the side of the Pathfinder. Captain Frank Miller stood with his crew near the airlock, his heart beating fast. None of their training had truly prepared them for this moment. "Remember," he said quietly, "we represent all of humanity now." The airlock cycled open. Standing on the other side were 3 beings unlike anything the humans had ever seen. The one in front was tall and slender with gray skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. It wore what appeared to be a formal uniform with symbols the humans couldn't understand. "Greetings," said the alien in perfect English through a small device at its throat. "I am Cultural Ambassador Ventral of the Galactic Coalition. Welcome to Coalition Space." Frank stepped forward. "I'm Captain Frank Miller of Earth. This is Chief Engineer Diane Powell, Science Officer Alan Reeves, and Communications Specialist Lisa Johnson." Ventral's upper eyes blinked. "Your language was simple to decode. Your computing systems are primitive but efficient." The humans exchanged glances. Their ship contained Earth's most advanced technology. "We would like to invite you aboard our vessel for proper discussions," Ventral continued. "Our environments appear compatible based on our scans." After a brief discussion, Frank agreed. The 4 humans followed the aliens through the docking tube and into the Coalition ship. They gasped at what they saw. The corridor was vast, with ceilings 3 times higher than necessary for humans. The walls glowed with soft light from no visible source. Aliens of different species moved about their duties. "How many different species are in your coalition?" asked Alan, his scientific curiosity overcoming his nervousness. 37 full-member species and over 60 associate members," replied Ventral. "All united against a common enemy." "Enemy?" Frank asked. Ventral's skin darkened slightly. "The Voidborn Empire. We have been at war for over 300 of your Earth years. Today marks the effective end of that conflict. The humans were led to a large meeting room where Admiral Zaxatur waited. The Admiral studied the humans with clear interest. "So you are humans," he said through his translator. "Your arrival is most unexpected. Our records show no advanced civilization in your region of space. We've only just developed faster-than-light travel," explained Diane. "This is our first journey beyond our solar system." The Admiral nodded. "Then you have excellent timing. You arrive at the dawn of a new era of peace." For the next several hours, both sides shared information. The humans learned about the vast coalition, the terrible war with the Voidborn, and the countless worlds that had been destroyed in the conflict. In turn, they shared Earth's history and culture. "Your species has had many wars," noted Ventral as he reviewed Earth's history. "For such a young species, you have experienced much conflict." Lisa, who had been quietly observing the alien's body language, spoke up. "Perhaps that gives us a unique perspective. We understand both war and peace." Admiral Zaxatur tilted his head. "Explain." "In our history, the best peace treaties came when both sides felt they had gained something," Lisa said. "From what you've told us, you're demanding the Voidborn surrender completely, but that might just lead to another war later." The room fell silent. The coalition officers looked at each other. "You would suggest we negotiate with them, after all they have done?" asked a coalition officer in the back of the room. "I'm suggesting that lasting peace might require compromise," Lisa replied. "And sometimes having a neutral third party can help." Admiral Zaxatur's four eyes focused intensely on Lisa. "Are you offering to mediate?" The humans looked at each other in surprise. Frank cleared his throat. "We're not diplomats, but if we could help bring peace to the galaxy, we would be honored." Unknown to the humans and the coalition officers, a small device hidden in the meeting room was transmitting everything to a Voidborn spy ship lurking at the edge of the system. Inside that ship, Commander Draz Kier of the Voidborn Intelligence Division listened with growing interest. "These humans speak of compromise when the coalition demands surrender," he said to his intelligence team. "And they've developed faster-than-light travel independently, despite their primitive technology. Most interesting." "Should we eliminate them?" asked his second-in-command. "They could strengthen the coalition's position." Drazkir shook his head. "No, they might be useful. Prepare a report for High Command. These humans may offer new possibilities." Back on the coalition flagship, Admiral Zaxatur made a decision. "Very well. I will recommend to the Coalition Council that we invite you to the preliminary peace conference. Your outside perspective could be valuable." 2 days later, the Earth crew found themselves aboard a Coalition diplomatic vessel, heading toward neutral space. The small Pathfinder was being towed alongside, dwarfed by the massive alien ships. In a private cabin, Frank spoke with his crew. "I never imagined our first contact would lead to this. We're about to help negotiate peace for an entire galaxy." Alan looked worried. "We're not trained for this, Frank. What if we make things worse?" "We stick to basic principles," Frank replied. "Fairness, mutual benefit, and respect. The same things that would work on Earth." The peace conference was held on a space station at the edge of disputed territory. Representatives from both the Coalition and the Voidborn arrived in heavily armed ships. The humans were given quarters in the neutral section of the station. During the first day of negotiations, tensions were high. The Coalition demanded substantial reparations and disarmament from the Voidborn. The Voidborn representatives, tall, beings with pale blue skin and no visible eyes, refused these terms completely. As the second day of failed talks ended, Diane Powell approached Frank in their quarters. "I've been studying the maps they gave us of the disputed territories. There's something interesting about this region here." She pointed to a cluster of star systems on the border. At the next session, as both sides argued over the same points, again, Frank asked for permission to speak. "The problem seems to be that both sides claim these border systems," he said, pointing to the map. "But what if they became neutral territory with joint scientific outposts instead of military bases?" Both sides could benefit from the resources without either controlling them militarily. The room fell silent. Diane added, "The energy patterns in those systems suggest scientific opportunities that neither side has fully explored. Working together might yield discoveries beneficial to both." The Voidborn chief negotiator leaned forward. An interesting proposal from such a young species. That evening, a Voidborn diplomat approached Kevin Walsh, the ship's tactical officer who had joined them for the conference. "Your species has a unique perspective on conflict resolution. Perhaps we could discuss military history sometime. I find your Earth wars fascinating." As Kevin reported this conversation to Frank later, neither of them realized that this simple exchange would soon change the course of the war that everyone thought was already over. 2 weeks after the peace conference began, Kevin Walsh met again with the Voidborn diplomat named Krell. They sat in a quiet corner of the space station's garden area, surrounded by plants from dozens of worlds. "Your Earth military history is fascinating," said Krell. His voice was deep and seemed to come from somewhere inside his chest. "Especially your concept of guerrilla warfare." Kevin nodded. "Sometimes a smaller force can defeat a larger one by being smarter about when and where to fight, like your Vietnam War," Krell said, "or your American Revolution." Kevin was surprised by how much the alien had learned about Earth history. "You've studied our past conflicts closely." "Knowledge is valuable," Krell replied. "Would you be willing to review some of our current strategic problems? As a theoretical exercise, of course." That same day, Frank Miller was meeting with Admiral Zach's tour and the coalition leadership. "The peace talks are progressing too slowly," Zach's tour said. "The Voidborn are being stubborn about the outer colonies." Frank thought carefully before speaking. "In our history, sometimes both sides need to save face, to go back to their people, with something they can call a victory." A coalition general made a dismissive gesture. "We won the war. Why should we care about their pride?" "Because," Frank said, "you have to live with them after the war ends. Neighbors with grudges make poor neighbors." After the meeting, Lisa Johnson pulled Frank aside in the corridor. "The Voidborn have been asking a lot of questions about Earth. I think they're more interested in us than in peace with the coalition." Frank frowned. "Kevin mentioned the same thing. They seem especially interested in our military history." "And I noticed something else," Lisa added. "Both sides are gathering information from us, but neither is sharing much about their own technology or history. Back on Earth, the messages sent by the Pathfinder crew had caused a sensation. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and their first interstellar mission had stumbled upon an ancient galactic civilization. World leaders held emergency meetings. Scientists worked day and night to understand the data sent back. And in secret facilities around the globe, military planners began to consider what it meant to be a small new species in a galaxy full of advanced civilizations that had been at war for centuries. 1 month after first contact, the Earthship Defender was launched. It carried improved engines based on the glimpses of alien technology the Pathfinder crew had shared. Its captain was Commander Patricia Rivera, a respected naval officer with a background in both military strategy and diplomacy. Meanwhile, on the neutral space station, Dr. Nancy Clark, the ship's physician, made a discovery that would change everything. She had been studying medical data shared by both the Coalition and Voidborn, comparing it to human biology. "It's remarkable," she told Frank in her small lab. "Human immune systems are completely different from both species. And look at this." She pointed to a complex molecular model on her screen. "This is a bioweapon the Coalition mentioned in their medical database. And this," she brought up another image. "This is human blood protein. Our biology naturally produces compounds that could neutralize their weapon." Frank stared at the screen. "Does the Coalition know this?" Nancy shook her head. "I don't think so. They gave me access to this data for basic compatibility studies. They probably never imagined we would understand it so quickly." Frank's mind raced. "Keep this between us for now. I need to think about what it means." That evening, Frank called a private meeting with his crew. "We've learned a lot in the past month," he said. And I think we're in a more complicated situation than we realized. He summarized what they knew. Both sides were gathering information about humans. The peace talks were moving slowly, and Earth was preparing for whatever might come next. I believe we should maintain our neutrality, Frank said. But we should also be smart about it. Both sides want something from us. That gives us leverage. Leverage for what? Asked Alan. For Earth's security, Frank replied. We're new players in a very old game. If we choose a side now, we become a target for the other. But if we stay neutral and useful to both, we protect Earth and learn. As much as we can, finished Diane. Kevin cleared his throat. There's something else you should know. The Voidborn have asked me about historical Earth battle tactics. I've only shared basic publicly known information. But 2 days ago I heard that a Voidborn fleet used a flanking maneuver straight out of the Battle of Cannae against a coalition patrol. They're using our military history as inspiration, Frank said, his expression grave. The next day, a coalition scout ship arrived at the station with alarming news. A Voidborn strike force had recaptured a key system that had been taken by the coalition just before the humans arrived. The coalition officers were stunned. The system had been considered secure. How did they do it? Demanded a coalition general in the emergency meeting. They changed their tactics, reported the scout captain. Instead of their usual direct assault, they split their forces, used asteroids for cover, and attacked from multiple angles simultaneously. We weren't prepared for it. Frank noticed several coalition officers looking at the humans with suspicion. Over the next 2 weeks, more reports came in. The Voidborn were pushing back, reclaiming territory they had lost. The coalition's certain victory was evaporating. Admiral Zaxtor summoned Frank to a private meeting. These new Voidborn tactics, he said without preamble, they are remarkably similar to historical Earth battles that your tactical officer has discussed with their diplomats. Frank met the alien's four-eyed gaze steadily. We've shared only public historical information, Admiral. We remain neutral in your conflict. The war was effectively over before your arrival, Zaxtor said. Now it is not. Some in the coalition leadership see a connection. As Frank left the meeting, he received an urgent message from Earth. The Defender had launched and would arrive at the station in 3 days. And it was not coming alone. 4 more ships would follow, carrying representatives from Earth's major powers and a small but determined military force. Humanity was no longer just observing the galactic conflict. It was preparing to take its place among the stars, ready or not. And the balance of power that had seemed so certain just months ago was now shifting in ways no one had predicted. The arrival of the Earthship Defender caused a stir at the neutral space station. Unlike the small Pathfinder, the Defender was built for more than exploration. Its hull was reinforced, and though it carried no obvious weapons, its design suggested military capability. Commander Patricia Rivera stepped onto the station with confidence. She was tall with short black hair and a direct gaze that missed nothing. Behind her came a team of Earth's best engineers, scientists, and diplomatic representatives. Frank Miller greeted them in the docking bay. Welcome to the galaxy, Commander. Patricia shook his hand firmly. Captain Miller, your reports have been invaluable. Earth has been busy since you left. In a private meeting room, Patricia briefed Frank and his crew on Earth's response to first contact. The United Nations has formed a new agency, the Earth Space Defense and Diplomatic Corps. We're here to establish humanity's place in galactic affairs. How many ships are coming? Asked Frank. 5 now, with 15 more under construction. We've been applying what we've learned from the data you sent home. Each new ship incorporates more advanced technology. Diane Powell looked impressed. That's remarkably fast progress. Patricia's expression was serious. Earth understands the situation. We're centuries behind these civilizations technologically. Our only advantages are surprise and adaptability. And the fact that both sides want our help, added Frank. Exactly, Patricia agreed, which is why we're going to continue playing both sides. Earth needs time to catch up. The following day, Patricia met with both Coalition and Voidborn representatives. She presented herself as Earth's official diplomatic representative, with authority to negotiate technology exchanges and access to human knowledge. Earth offers friendship to all, she said to the gathered aliens. We have much to learn from your advanced civilizations, and perhaps a few things to offer in return. The response was immediate. Both sides offered technology, resource rights, and protection in exchange for human support. Patricia accepted all offers while committing to none. Over the next few months, 4 more Earthships arrived. Each one was more advanced than the last, incorporating technologies reverse-engineered from both Coalition and Void-born sources. Earth engineers proved remarkably skilled at adapting alien technology. A Void-born science officer commented to his superior, "These humans learn at an alarming rate. What took our civilization centuries to develop, they seem to master in months." Meanwhile, the war that had been nearly over was now in full swing again. The Void-born, using tactics inspired by Earth's military history, had reclaimed nearly half of their lost territory. The Coalition, caught off guard by the sudden change in Void-born strategy, struggled to adapt. On a research station orbiting a distant moon, Dr. Nancy Clark worked with a small team of Earth scientists. They had been granted access to study Void-born shield technology in exchange for information about human medicine. "The molecular structure is fascinating," Nancy told her team as they examined the alien technology. "It's not just a physical barrier. It actually redirects energy." Unaware that they were being watched, the humans quickly began to understand the principles behind the alien shields. Within weeks, they had created a working prototype of their own design, smaller and more efficient than the Void-born original. Kitty, a Coalition strike force, detected the research station and moved to seize it. Believing it to be developing weapons for the Void-born, Commander Rivera responded without hesitation. The Defender and 2 other Earthships moved to protect the station. When the Coalition vessels fired warning shots, the Earthships activated their new hybrid shield systems, a combination of Void-born energy redirection and Coalition power distribution methods. "They've combined our technologies," a Coalition officer reported in shock to his commander. "That should be impossible. The systems are completely different." The Coalition ships pressed their attack, expecting to easily overwhelm the smaller Earth vessels. Instead, the human ships not only withstood the assault, but responded with precisely targeted counterattacks. Using weapon systems based on both Coalition and Void-born designs, but modified with Earth ingenuity, the Defender disabled the lead Coalition ship's propulsion system without destroying the vessel. "This is Commander Rivera to Coalition forces," Patricia transmitted. "We have no desire to escalate this conflict. Withdraw now, and we will consider this a misunderstanding rather than an act of war against Earth." The remaining Coalition ships, seeing their lead vessel disabled so easily, retreated. News of the encounter spread quickly through both Coalition and Void-born channels. The species that many had dismissed as primitive newcomers had just demonstrated technology that combined the best elements of both ancient civilizations. On the Coalition flagship, Admiral Zach's tour received the report with growing concern. "How advanced are these humans truly?" he asked his advisors. "Have we underestimated them?" His chief science officer looked troubled. "They appear to have an unusual ability to understand and integrate diverse technologies. What takes us decades of careful research they seem to accomplish in months." "And their ships?" the Admiral asked. "Growing more advanced with each new arrival. Our latest scans show they've already incorporated elements of our jump drive technology, improved our shield harmonics, and adapted Void-born weapon systems to work with their power grid." Admiral Zach's tour stared at the tactical display, where the human ships now appeared as a separate faction, neither Coalition nor Void-born. "The war was won," he said quietly, "until humanity arrived and changed everything." In Void-born territory, High Commander Ezrak reviewed similar reports. "These humans continue to surprise us," he told his war council. "They remain officially neutral, yet they defend their interests with remarkable effectiveness." "Should we consider them a threat?" asked a council member. "Not yet," Ezrak replied. "For now, they are useful. Their ideas have helped us reclaim much of our territory, but watch them closely. Their rate of advancement is concerning. Back on Earth, factories worked day and night producing components for the growing human fleet. Scientists and engineers pored over the data sent back by the first contact teams. Military strategists studied both coalition and void-borne tactics, looking for weaknesses. And in orbit around Earth, the first of a new class of vessels took shape. Larger than the Defender, incorporating every technological advance learned from the galactic powers, the United Earth Forces flagship would soon be ready to launch. Humanity was no longer merely observing the galactic conflict. It was becoming a power in its own right. And neither the Coalition nor the Voidborn fully understood what that would mean for the future of the galaxy. 2 years had passed since the Pathfinder's first contact with the galactic civilizations. In that short time, everything had changed. The war that had been nearly over was now locked in a stalemate. Neither the Coalition nor the Voidborn could gain a decisive advantage. Both sides had adapted to the other's new tactics and technologies, and in the middle stood humanity, growing stronger each day. The United Earth flagship Freedom entered the neutral zone with an escort of 12 smaller vessels. It was larger than anything Earth had built before, incorporating technology from both galactic powers but improved by human innovation. Admiral Frank Miller, promoted from his captain's role on the Pathfinder, stood on its bridge. "Status report," he ordered. "All systems nominal, Admiral," reported his first officer. "The Coalition and Voidborn delegations are ready to board for the summit." Frank nodded. "And our security?" "Director Reeves has everything in place." Alan Reeves, once the science officer of the Pathfinder, now led Earth's Xenoscience and Security Division. His understanding of alien biology and technology had proved invaluable as humanity established itself in galactic affairs. The summit had been months in planning. After 2 years of renewed fighting, both ancient civilizations had finally agreed to peace talks. But this time, they would not meet on neutral ground or on either faction's territory. They would meet on a human ship, with Earth mediating the negotiations. In his private quarters, Frank reviewed the treaty documents one last time with Earth's diplomatic team, led by Ambassador Jack Russell. "We've structured this exactly as planned," Jack said. "Both sides give up some territorial claims. Both sides save face with their people, and key systems become neutral zones under Earth protection. And we get access to trade routes and resources, essential for our continued growth," Frank added, "plus formal recognition as a galactic power." Jack smiled. Not bad for a species that only achieved interstellar travel 2 years ago. When the delegations arrived, the contrast between them was striking. The Coalition representatives, led by Admiral Zax Tur, were formal and reserved. The Voidborn, led by High Commander Ezrak, were tense and watchful. Neither trusted the other. But both had come to respect the humans. The main conference room of the Freedom was impressive. Earth had spared no expense in its design, showcasing human craftsmanship enhanced by alien technology. The walls displayed holographic maps of the UAM galaxy, highlighting the territories under discussion. "Welcome to the Tri-Species Peace Summit," Ambassador Russell began. "Earth is honored to host these historic negotiations." Admiral Zax Tur spoke first for the Coalition. 2 years ago, we stood on the verge of victory. Now we find ourselves in a different position. But the Coalition has always valued peace over conquest. High Commander Ezrak gave what passed for a smile among the Voidborn. "How diplomatic of you, Admiral. The Voidborn Empire acknowledges that the current situation benefits none of our peoples. We are prepared to discuss terms that recognize the new reality of our galaxy." For 3 days, the negotiations continued. At times, they nearly broke down. Completely. Old hatreds and fresh wounds made trust difficult. But each time conflict threatened to end the talks, the humans found a way to bring both sides back to the table. Dr. Nancy Clark presented her research on disease prevention that could benefit both species. Engineer Diane Powell demonstrated new energy systems that could help rebuild worlds damaged in the war. And Commander Patricia Rivera outlined security protocols that would allow for demilitarized zones without leaving either side vulnerable. On the fourth day, the treaty was ready. As the leaders of the three species gathered for the signing ceremony, Frank stood at a window overlooking the vast fleet assembled around the Freedom. Coalition ships with their smooth, elegant designs, void-borne vessels, angular and imposing. And between them, the growing Earth fleet, smaller but increasingly sophisticated. "Admiral Miller," called Ambassador Russell, "would you join us for the historic moment?" As Frank turned from the window, he caught sight of a message on a nearby console. Earth's long-range sensors had detected another alien fleet approaching from beyond the galaxy's edge. New players in the galactic game. He made a quick decision and deleted the message. That problem could wait until tomorrow. Today was for celebrating peace, a peace arranged on humanity's terms. The signing ceremony was broadcast across all three civilizations. Billions of beings watched as the leaders put their marks on the treaty. "The galaxy enters a new era today," Ambassador Russell announced. "An era of cooperation and mutual respect among our peoples." After the ceremony, Alan Reeves joined Frank in his ready room. "They still don't understand, do they?" Alan said quietly. "Understand what?" Frank asked, though he knew the answer. They spent thousands of years fighting each other, wearing themselves down, developing technologies in isolation, all while humans spent our history fighting ourselves, constantly adapting, constantly evolving our approach to both war and peace. Frank nodded. "We didn't win their war. We ended it on our terms." On the main void-borne diplomatic vessel, Commander Drazkir turned to High Commander Ezrak after their return from the signing. "Was this wise?" he asked. "We've given these humans considerable power in a very short time." Ezrak's expression was unreadable to most, but Drazkir had served him for decades. He recognized the concern in his leader's posture. "We had little choice," Ezrak replied. "Their rate of advancement is unlike anything in our records. In 2 years, they've achieved what took our ancestors centuries. Better to have them as allies than enemies." "For now," Drazkir added. "Yes," Ezrak agreed. "For now." In the Coalition flagship, Admiral Zax Tour was having a similar conversation with his advisors. "We should have destroyed them when they first arrived," said an old general, "before they became a factor in the war." "And united the Void-born against us?" Zax Tour shook his head. "No. We made the best choice available. This peace treaty preserves much of what we fought for, while giving the humans everything they wanted," the general grumbled. Zax Tour looked out at the Earth ships visible through the viewport. "Watch them closely, learn from them, and prepare for whatever comes next." Back on the Freedom, Frank Miller received a secure transmission from Earth. The message was brief but clear. New fleet construction approved. 30 vessels, advanced designs. Prepare for expansion beyond current borders. Frank smiled as he approved the message. The war was over, but humanity's journey was just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same again. And beyond the edge of charted space, the new alien fleet continued its approach, unaware that the balance of power they were entering was nothing like what it had been just 2 years before humanity's arrival changed everything.